or the cold that comes from the outside into the home, eliminate that so that you don't get cold, you stay warm.
Give me some other specific examples, like you were telling me about reusing some wood and some of the toilets and things like that.
Well, we took this project as a whole. What are ways that we can save water, energy, materials? And in doing that, we also wanted to recycle them. So one of our toilets, or both of our toilets that we have here, are basically a 1.6 gallon flush, but it also has one for a 0.06 gallons flush. So I think we can sort of understand why we would do a 1.6 gallon and possibly a 0.6 gallon flush on that. So we have that to be able to reduce the amount of water, because here in the city of Akron, you're paid to use water. You have to pay for it. So if we use less of it, we keep our homeowners' bills down.
Tell me a little bit about the bamboo floor behind us.
Since I'm a home builder, I deal with a lot of flooring manufacturers, flooring distributors, and there was a commercial job where they ordered a lot of bamboo flooring for that application in the commercial, and they had about 300 square feet left over. So I called them and I said, what are you going to do with that? And they said, well, we don't know what to do with it. And I said, I would love to have it in my home. So at a reduced price, we were able to get the bamboo flooring. Very sustainable, very hard, very durable. So it was a neat situation. Number one, we were able to use up material that they had on hand and also apply it to our situation here at the home.
Tell me how much this house cost in comparison to what a regular house would.
This 1,100 square foot home cost $89,000 to buy on this lot. In normal construction would probably be about 86 to 87. So we're looking at probably about a $2,000 upgrade. So when we sit back and say that it costs more to be green, I look hard to see how we can eliminate those costs so that I can add the green value, sustainable value here on the job.
Tell me a little bit about some of the other things in the house that are sustainable that you've done for this house.
Well, number one is we were able to take our 2x6 wall studs, keep them 2 foot apart, and then we were able to apply insulation in there. One of the insulation properties that I really like is recycled newspaper. We have taken those newspapers, they have been ground. There's been some additives added to it which are very eco-friendly, applied to the newspaper, and then we actually sprayed it into the wall. And as we sprayed that in, 2 great things about it is we're getting about an R19 to an R20 in our wall, which typical construction may be R11, which is the resistance value of heat. So we have a better R value, so we use recycled newspapers here. The other thing that we did is we actually used what is called a California corner, which there's no wood in the corner. So, and what it enables me to do is I'm able to get insulation behind that stud to hold the drywall as a structural, and I'm able to get insulation behind that so now that doesn't come through or transmit into the house. Another neat thing was, and we were talking about keeping costs down, is I like to use what is called a raised heel energy truss. So we're actually raising the heel of that truss off the top of the wall so that I can apply more insulation into it. So I talked to my truss company and I said, I don't want to pay a lot for this because we're trying to do sustainable. And I said, why don't you guys do me a favor? Why don't you find a scrap piece of lumber that you have and apply that block in between the bottom cord and the top cord of the truss. And they did that. And my cost was 0. Because they're using up pieces of lumber that normally would go into a dumpster or ground up or reused, but we were able to apply it here. So that was another neat principle so that I could get that over top of the wall and didn't cost me any more to do.
Carmen, you're the head of the HBA. Tell me a little bit about the HBA and why you're standing here in this house.
Well, the reason I'm standing here is because we did this as a more or less under the auspices of the HBA. Thank God for me, Lance was my president this year, and it couldn't have happened at a better time. Lance being one of the really foremost people in the area on sustainable green building has given us an opportunity to not only change internally what the members think of green building, but I think to show to the public that we are interested in green building and we're at the forefront of it. And so that's why we got involved in this house, and I couldn't be more pleased with the way it's turned out so far.
Carmen, Who thought that Lance was completely out of his mind?
Well, I don't know if I'd say completely out of his mind, but I would say a couple of years ago when Lance was coming up through the chairs and was always advocating for sustainable green building, I think there were some people that thought Lance was probably a little left of center. But as time has moved on and as he's become president, I think we have a Northeast Ohio Green Builders Initiative, which has been in existence now for a few years, which has also helped with that. And actually, as of our last month, where we had our International Builders Show in Vegas, the people that came back from that told us that Lance's way of thinking is almost becoming mainstream now, because builders are being pressured, if they aren't already realizing the benefits of it, are being pressured by local government officials and by the changes in the codes to build more sustainable, more green products. And people are willing to now listen to that and are willing to some degree, even pay for it.
And we're back for another Pro Con. I'm Todd V.
I'm Brett.
And we're going to talk about green housing.
Green housing.
Now, I know that you have some expert opinions on this stuff, being the architect that you are.
Well, yeah.
He's not even abashed about it. All right, bring it.
No, I think that it is great when people want to build in a more green fashion.
Okay.
And in 1998, the ideas that this builder is implementing were right on the edge. 2009, 2010, however, it's really not getting anything done. It's getting a little bit done. That whole building practice started a long time ago in an attempt to create a more green house.
So why isn't it being done now?
Because it's still, the whole concept was that you have a bridge between the outside and the inside.
Right.
And that's a stud doing that bridging.
Yeah.
So you still have that. So now you need to insulate on the outside of the building. And it's a pretty technical thing.
Oh.
But there's a lot more that can be done in a house.
Well, I think having that, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't there now more insulation space over the whole wall?
Yeah, but you still are bridging there's still a
Right.
continuity that happens there. And so now what you do is you put insulation outside of the building.
Well, that's an interesting take. We didn't talk about that.
And that's the problem, is that it takes that long for things to get done. It takes builders that have seen other builders do it for 10 years before they're brave enough to go out and do it. Nobody's brave enough to go out and try new and different ways of doing things and thinking outside of the box.
Okay, the one thing I did love is he went out and found somebody who was throwing away or had this excess of bamboo flooring. Now, I like bamboo flooring for starters because the wood, we're not using up precious hardwoods that take decades to grow. It's a fast-growing wood. And then he also just found some place that had it, and he salvaged it.
Right.
So
you save $200.
All right. Still cool.
No, it is cool. It's
cool.
a great idea. You might as well go out and find it. But really what he did, he went and found from a new product manufacturer, a new product that's never been installed, and it was left over from another job.
Right, okay.
And that's great. But if you really want to be sustainable, that's a good thing to do. But that company was not going to throw that away. That company is going to make a profit off that, just like every other American.
And particularly these green hippies. Right. They like to make money.
My green tip for the day: I turn my power strips and unplug my chargers for my cell phones, my cameras, and my laptops off at night.